Hello, everyone, and welcome to Writers Drinking Coffee. This is a podcast where writers sit around drinking tasty beverages to talk about writing, publishing, and the whole creative process. There will be rants and raves and opinions that may not agree but are lovingly delivered. We do not censor ourselves, so consider us PG-13. Today, your writerly guides are Chaz Brinchley and me, Jeannie Warner. This is episode 203, Kat Rambo's Rumors. Welcome back, Kat.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Episode 203. That is impressive.
Right?
we are a little gobsmacked ourselves. It's true.
Yeah.
It's like talking or something. It's weird.
Yeah, well, given how famously I don't like talking, it's amazing that I'm still here.
Exactly. Well, Kat, you reached out, and I'm so glad you did because you have a third book in your, and I love to say this out loud, your disco space opera series.
Indeed, I do. The third book is coming out September 24th, and it's called Rumor Has It.
Is it named after the Adele song? Or
Yes. Well, no, I think it's a Donna.
I wasn't sure whether it was that or whether it was Fleetwood Mac Rumors based on, wow, that's the most vindictive, backstabbing album that ever had to be performed live. I mean, it's brilliant.
Oh God, no, I hadn't even thought of that. No, I had finally broken it to Tor that I was naming all the books after disco songs. And so I was like, I need a title before I write the third book. So I just went on YouTube and Googled, not Googled around, but YouTubed around and found this one called Rumor Has It. And was like, yeah, and then it originally, the book started with Jesley Farron saying something about Rumor Has It, Captain. But they made me change that.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought it was a good opening line, but...
Well, I love the song so much because that is the most bitchy, pissed off woman song that I've seen since Freddie Mercury and Death on Two Legs.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But let's back up a little bit because for those that aren't aware about your, I love to say it, disco space opera series, tell us all about the You Sexy Thing.
Yeah.
I mean, which is the best ship name ever, and I believe wasn't that by Hot Fudge?
Hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate.
Yes.
Hot chocolate. Yes, and it was, so You Sexy, they basically, a group of retired mercenaries have created a restaurant aboard a space station, and things are going wonderfully. They're in fact about to be up for a cooking award, and then a mysterious package arrives, things start exploding, and they steal an intelligent bioship that does not think it wants to be stolen, and that is You Sexy Thing.
Well, is that more like Helva, the ship who sang, or are we relating a little bit more to the TARDIS here?
More to Moya in Farscape.
Nice. Excellent. And then you have book 2, which was Devil's Gun.
Mm-hmm.
Without Googling, I didn't know what the song was.
It's a great song. I mean, like once you get it in your head, you're just like, don, 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 don.
Devil's Gun is by CJ and Company. So
That's it, CJ and Company.
yeah, that was the one that I wasn't sure of. I thought it was somewhere out of, I don't know. Is that a Barry Green song or something? Could be.
I don't know. They were a group out of Detroit. I don't know if they did any other.
Motor City. Fantastic. What happens in Devil's Gun?
In Devil's Gun, they want to get to one of these gates that basically connect pieces of the known universe. And they get there and they find that it is out of order, which is sort of unprecedented. And so there's a lot of ships kind of arriving in this area and kind of clustering up. So they decide to create a pop-up restaurant. And
Go with your strengths. I'm for it.
well, if you're gonna be there and it gets boring eating the same ship food over and over again.
Well, food truck rodeo. I mean, there's no reason you can't have a food truck rodeo in space. As a matter of fact,
That's it.
I'm sad that Firefly never went there. I mean,
They should have. It would be so awesome. But I based the food on this fabulous. I'd had this meal at one of those molecular gastronomy restaurants, and one of the desserts were these balloons made out of green apple taffy, and they were filled with helium.
Yep.
And you had to sort of inhale the balloon as fast as possible in order to avoid getting taffy all over your face. And it was amazing. So I made the food that they're serving are these sort of balloons filled with tasty smells.
I think that's fantastic. There was a famous restaurant review that referred to, "Oh, madam, you have meat molecules in course 3."
Yes. Yes.
I kept thinking that sounds exactly like space. You're not going to get much food, but they're very important molecules.
They're very important.
Packed
And
with,
they may
packed with
involve
vitamin.
foam.
Foam, yes. Foam is
Foam.
also very big in molecular gastronomy.
Yes.
So we love them. So then we have our crew then has finished being a food truck, and now the sexy thing is going to Coraland Station.
Coraland Station, which has some of the most amazing ingredients in the known universe because it is this hollowed out asteroid filled with different gardens.
Yes.
So I mean, I always remembered the Ringworld series and thinking all of those gardens and things like what you could do with like an internal sphere.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nice. And you have a pirate king, and it's true that I hear the I am a pirate
Yes.
king every time I read the words. So Tubalast, is he a proper? Tell us about your bad guy.
Well, the reason he's a pirate is it's kind of reference to back when I started editing fantasy magazine. It was the year there had been 3 different fantasy pirate anthologies and then like 2 theme magazines, which was fine, except all of the stories that had been through those particular submission mills and been rejected then came to me.
Of course they did.
And I was just like, for years, I was like, I hate pirate stories. I don't like pirate stories. I never want to read another pirate story.
Oh,
And so when I was kind of like, oh, I want a big bad, I was like, oh, I'm going to do space pirates.
is it pirate or is it preemptive salvaging? I mean,
That's it, you
piracy
know?
is such an ugly, ugly word, whereas
You know?
salvage is,
Salvage, privateers of some sort, yeah,
some kind of entrepreneurs just trying to
entrepreneur.
make ends meet in a very cold and unfriendly environment.
Oh man, Elon Musk would do that.
I don't know Elon Musk, and we're both better for it, I think.
Yes.
So they're going to find Coraland, and a bit of a heroine's journey. Then heroes.
There
Would you call
is.
this more hero or heroines as we've been defining these? Because
There is because Atlanta, who in the second book becomes a kind of paladin of sorts, she's still trying to figure out what that means and discovering what she can do. And unfortunately, the one person that could have told her most of that has vanished in the second book.
oh, tell me it's something like Grumble or Procrastination, the god of engineers.
I wish. That's a good one. I'm going to add that at some point.
Feel free. Only because every month I face releases at work, and it's like, what made it?
Oh,
What did
yeah.
make it? It feels like the hand of Grumble is upon them in different ways.
Well, it is, and it's like I'm working now kind of with somebody because we do this writing workshop together, and it's like I can't do the thing I usually do where I procrastinate till the last minute because I'm not just being a pain in my ass that way, but I'm being a pain in Janet's ass that way. So
Right.
I have to be good, and it's good for me, I'm sure, but
In that way that never feels good.
Exactly. So that brings me to a side topic. I wasn't going to jump into it, but you do have those lovely Rambo Academy for Wayward Writers, and it's not
Yes.
just my favorite title, but it's my favorite title.
Yeah.
Is there any writer that isn't wayward in one way or another, really?
I think we are all wayward. I think it's required to
I mean, I'm
be.
clapping Chaz on the shoulder here right as we speak and saying, Chaz, you're a little bit wayward, aren't you?
I found it in the job description.
Right.
I may have written it into the job description, but it's definitely there now.
I might do merch that says that. I'm a little bit wayward.
Yes. I could do with that on a t-shirt.
There you go.
Kat, I'm just side issue, sidebar. If book 3 is all about interior gardens, are you a gardener?
I do love gardening.
I thought you might.
I am Maryland certified master gardener, in fact.
Ooh. Wait, now I want to say something, and don't take this negative personally, but like it feels like every time I've gone to a master gardener and ask a question, they look at me blankly. Like, I have this fig tree, and it's not doing anything worthwhile, and I'm not getting any figs out of it.
Oh, they should be able to tell you. They should be able to say like how much light does it get and are you feeding it?
I've weirdly run into, I think I was on my 6th, because I literally had asked every one of them. It was the 6th fig tree said, What kind of a fig is it?
Yeah.
Because figs are a very gender fluid sort of
Yes.
plant. And
Yes.
it was much like pears that I learned, like this pear needs another one just like it. And that one needs a girl
Yeah.
pear, and that one needs a girl fig. And anybody that says that biology is binary has clearly never been a gardener. I'm feeling cheated somehow, and I feel like there's a
You have your mind expanded.
There's a symbolic lesson at work here. I can't get figs off this thing. And the funny thing was how many master gardeners I had looked at, and they're like, I had one that said, I'm more of the carrots, onions, why can't I get potatoes going variety? I'm like,
Oh, God.
That's beautiful. Okay.
Well, you know why they might be kind of uninformed is when you take the master gardening classes, part of the thing you pledge to do is to do a certain amount of volunteer work
Right.
in terms of going basically to farmers markets and being part of the master gardener booth. And I thought this was a blast because like people would come up with like, bugs in jars and, like handfuls of leaves and be like, oh, here's this grotesque ear of corn. What's going on?
That would be fantastic.
So you may have gotten somebody that was like they were new. They were like, my God, I'm not sure what a fig tree is. I don't know.
Well, it's the over-specialization is for insects complaint of, there was Robert Heidelin, I think. And no, it was like, so this is a fruit or a tree, and I suppose it's in the region. Maybe did you grow up in California? California people ought to know about figs and avocados, right?
Yeah.
Maybe oranges.
They should.
Citrus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Whereas you're in, I want to say Indiana?
I am in northern Indiana now.
So you ought to be the three sisters. I ought to be able to know everything about corns and beans and whatever that other sister is that I never remember.
Yes.
Corn and beans in like potatoes?
No.
No, there was a third of it.
Soybean.
I'll look it up.
It's going to drive me nuts.
The things that you plant together, because I think it's like the beans twine up the corn, and there's this.
Oh, yeah.
It's all very poetical.
So does your Maryland qualification still hold good in Indiana?
I did have to like look up a lot of stuff, and I would like to take classes again just because when I took them before, we talked about Maryland specific stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is stuff like how to analyze the soil and stuff like companion planting and when to prune and that sort of thing.
Well, this is honestly the glory of classes, and I want to take it around and saying, years ago, I had a friend that's like, why do you want to go to a fencing or an archery class? You've been doing it for decades. I'm like, I want to go because what if that new human says something that is exactly in the perfect way that I will be able to steal and use for anybody in the future?
Yeah.
That's it.
And I presume that's a piece of like your writing classes coming back and saying there's like with one person, have you ever had that one phrase that suddenly it's all in perfect crystal clarity and I shall use those words together?
Yes.
Oh yeah, every once in a while. Every once in a while, you do get those kind of like crystallized moments, which is nice.
Yeah. So how long in this one? I mean, it's coming out in September. This delightful, not you sexy thing, the second one, Devil's Gun, the third one.
Rumor has it.
Rumor has it, yes.
How long did it take you to do, I'm just kind of break this apart, your first draft? How long was your first draft?
Like how long in words was it?
No, for you to sit down when you thought, okay, I got to keep going on this.
So there was a lot of just farting around and thinking about it and, like going to play miniature golf and thinking about it.
Procrastinating.
No.
Yeah, masturbating. Like, yeah.
It's distracting your brain so that you
Distracting my brain. But once I kind of got into the groove, and what I do when I'm in the groove is I get up early and I avoid the internet and I either walk or row and listen to music that kind of has to do with what I'm writing. And then I avoid the internet or email or my phone or any of that stuff until basically about
noon.
She's
speaking English, but those words
Those
are
words
harder.
make no sense at all.
No, that makes sense. Get a separate part of your brain doing things, distract your body.
Well,
But,
and it's weird at first because there is a part of you that is just like, well, what if somehow I miss an email, right? Like we're going to give you this prize, but only if you answer within the next 2 hours. And then you think about, well, maybe that's not the most reasonable worry because that never happens. And if something has happened, like my mom's has an emergency, she's going to call. Right. So she's not going to email.
Are you saying your brain lies to you?
Yes.
Yeah.
in your brain, Kat. Come on.
No, that's kind of where everyone is. So you find a separate space. Was this a project of many months, a few months, 2 years? You've been kind of kicking this around. You've had this draft for a while.
No, I think it took me all told about 6 months to get it to the point where I was ready to send it off to my editor at Tor.
Excellent.
Wait. So ready to send to an editor, that's finished. And then do you have beta readers? Did you?
Yes, I do. And I asked them, I gave them like about a month to read it and give me feedback. And I did not look at it during that month. And then I got their feedback, and that's when I did my final edit.
Okay. How many beta readers and how do you trust them to be right?
For me, I want to say there were 5 or 6, and they are usually people that I know.
Yeah.
About half of them are other writers, but then half of them are like my best friend from high school loves my books, and so I recruited her as a beta reader. And another friend from who works at a bookstore that I grew up working at, and then my dungeon master is actually the latest person I've recruited as a beta reader.
Excellent. I really struggled with the idea because you give a text to half a dozen people,
Mm-hmm.
and they will come back with different notions about where it ought to be as against where it is. I mean, how do you decide? How do you think, okay, you're right and you're wrong, and
Well, I think one of the things I do with my readers is I say, I want to know, where don't things make sense? Where is the world feel thin? Where are there places where you're like, oh, I really would like, 3 more pages of describing this garden or banter or whatever. But aside from that, I think usually when people are pointing to something, the fix that they're suggesting is not going to be the right fix because it's not coming out of you. But they are, particularly, like if multiple of them are pointing to the same thing, then actually, yeah, there's definitely something is broken there.
I have empathy for this. I just sent out, I had rewritten a whole new first chapter because it had to happen.
it did have to happen, yeah.
But I still wanted okay, is this too graphically ick?
Oh, yeah.
Where I'm going? And it was sort of like just saying, all right, I want your people that read in this general genre, which is important. It's like, because every once in a while, I mean, Kara, as you know, is one of the best beta readers ever, but she also has I am not the audience for this, but.
Yeah.
So somewhere in there, I need to have a couple people that are the audience for this.
Yeah.
But, and it was somebody coming
Especially
back.
people who are au fait with the current state of the genre.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Reading current books, and I had somebody said it perfectly for me. Are you comfortable with somebody reading that icky part and jerking off to it?
Oh my God.
And I have to admit that I looked at this and said, that is exactly the right phrase for me, because that means that I'm going to move the lens of my camera for being the horror of this act to maybe up and to the right, like we're seeing it through a mirror reversed and maybe not in quite so much detail. Because no, I'm not really comfortable with that. It needs to happen as I describe it, but I don't need to describe it in quite such detail.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was exactly the right feedback and the right word combination that made sense to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, which is everyone saying, yes, the graphicness, it's a little squicky, but at the same time, it really does set up why, because I needed the big why.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just, you want a sanity check, right? You're just like, I think this is a book, but I have been wrestling with it for so long that I'm not sure anymore.
Like if you had a blaster in page, 17, did you fire it by page 70?
Yes. Oh, God.
Right. I mean, that's important, right?
It's the Chekhov gun thing, absolutely.
Yeah.
Blaster.
Chekhov's
Blaster on the wall.
That's it.
Phase
Kat, when you wrote You Sexy Thing, were you thinking of it as the start of a series, or did that just follow on naturally?
I did think of it as the beginning of a series because I actually wrote it. I was going to self-publish. And I was going to put out one every 6 months or so and just kind of write pretty, not as fast as some of the self-publishers, but fairly fast.
Yeah.
But then my agent said, why am I your agent if you're not going to give me this book? And I was like, well, yeah, fair enough, dude.
Yes.
And I was happy enough because he sold it, which was great.
And to Tor, which is a lovely venue.
Absolutely.
So you get to your editor at Tor. Did your editor at Tor come back with changes or things that made you stop and think after your beta readers, or was it much more of just a pitching cleanup kind of thing?
Yeah, the first editor, the editor who bought it, Chris Morgan at Tor, gave me some feedback, and it always made the book substantially better. And then he ended up leaving Tor, and I have a new editor, Jen Gunnels. And I gotta say, I love Jen, and Jen really made the book so much better, just in kind of saying, "Hey, I need more space food," and it was,
Yeah, space food.
yeah.
I'm assuming that you also a cook.
I do cook. I love cooking.
Yeah. Yes.
I
I'm
mean,
doing I need to finish up doing, I have some recipes to go out with, rumor has it.
Oh, splendid.
Yes.
Oh, that'll be awesome. I once had a review for one of my early books that said, this is like sort of, the third novel, I think, and it said, Rachel is clearly obsessed with food.
beautiful.
It's lovely, isn't it?
I too am obsessed with food. I eat it every day.
I know.
Yeah.
I think people that aren't obsessed with food are liars.
Well, I mean, I think there are people who are sort of non-sensualists and are kind of like food is fuel.
I knew one woman, tragically, she was French,
Oh gosh.
but she existed on boiled vegetables. She didn't
Are you
care.
sure she wasn't English?
Absolutely sure.
Wow.
She had the accent and everything.
Wow.
Sometimes, I mean, like I had a very good friend who did not like fruit, and it's because he had a very bad sense of taste.
Oh.
And so he was just like, he didn't like the texture of fruit. And he said it never tasted good to him, except every once in a while he'd get a really ripe pear.
Mm.
And he said that was like the only time he was like, oh, okay, I understand why people like fruit.
Wow.
Okay.
Poor guy.
I could see
Yeah, I
that.
know.
All right. I had one other thing that I sort of wanted to geek out just a little bit because back when I was looking, I feel like you and I somehow had an overlap and didn't note it, but you did mudding, right?
Yes, yes,
Armageddon mud. And
yes.
that disappeared for a while. I had just logged on and then logged off, and this is like 15 years ago, but is that back this summer and are you still involved?
I don't think it's ever gone away because I quit. I want to say I quit in like 2004-ish. And I still talk to a number of the people that play, and I still swing by their boards every once in a while. It's how I.
For the benefit of those of us who may be slightly less gamey geeky than you guys, what exactly is mudding?
Oh, and you're like, what is it? What is a MUD? So MUD stands for multi-user dimension or dungeon.
Okay.
They are purely text-based D&D. So
Yeah.
instead of all
Gotcha.
of the little, you move your joystick and a character graphically
Yes.
wanders through. It's
Yes.
you walk into a
You're-
room that somebody has painstakingly described.
Yes.
And you look at things, and again, somebody has painstakingly described it. I used to be a builder.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, we had stuff like sniff descriptions. So if sniffed, you could get kind of
Yes.
what does the room smell like?
Yeah.
And we had just a lot of little funky stuff. But I loved doing all the kind of look descriptions.
I met Vashton there. I met Jim Busher on a mush.
Oh, yeah.
There are a lot of writers that started.
Oh yeah.
Okay, what's the difference between a mud and a mush?
Multi-user shared hallucinations. Mud can kill you in a coded fashion,
Yes.
and a mush cannot.
And Armageddon was kind of unusual in one, it was role play enforced, which meant that you had to role play your character. You couldn't break character and kind of chit chat, but it also had permadeath. So you could have a character that you had played. I had this happen, a character that you had played for years die.
Yeah.
And it was, man, quite a blow.
It can
Yeah.
be traumatic. Well, they can on both muds and mushes. The only difference is, if you die on a mush world of darkness, the staff could take it over. Ah, you've been risen, my son. Welcome to the Indians.
Right. So I mean, Kat, do you have a different relationship with your mudding mushing characters than you do with your fiction characters? Or is it all pretty much the same thing?
I think often it's much the same thing, because I know I have had characters that I've played in games that I've ended up using in stories because I enjoyed telling their stories and kind of had a good sense of the backstory. In fact, in Devil's Gun, one of the characters that shows up is a character that I originally played in a Star Wars game.
Excellent.
And so Jeslie Farron, when she shows up, and she's just a con woman, and that's how I played her, and that's how the character will always be. And I was just like, yeah, let's use Jeslie because she's fun.
That's lovely.
Well, there's so many different characters, and really, I mean, they say that role-playing games teach empathy
Yeah.
Yeah.
to kids in a lot of
Yeah.
ways because you're playing something very different than you. You have
Yes.
Yeah.
different quirks,
Right.
different fears, different
Yeah.
hopes, and I think generally it's great for kids.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's absolutely.
I mean, relatedly, I am not a gamer, but relatedly, I did take great pleasure in when I was one novel I was writing, where I had two characters come in who were technically ghosts because I mean this is an absolutely straight real world novel, but they're technically ghosts because I had previously killed both of them in other books. And so they both kind of vanish at some point in the story, and you never quite know what happened, and it was such fun.
Well, isn't that kind
Oh, I
of
love
what
that.
Damon did for a while? You know, here's his dead boy detective.
Yeah.
Here's all of these other characters. You
Oh,
know?
yeah.
Boy detectives on TV.
Yes.
Fun.
Personally, I am pulling for the walrus.
Yes.
Team
Team
hashtag
Walrus.
Team Walrus all the way. That is the guy for me. All right. Is there any other advice that you would give out to somebody who's saying, all right, maybe I like gaming, maybe I like D&D, you know, maybe I have some stories in me. What advice would you give them, Kat?
I would tell them to find some people to play with and don't be afraid to kind of be picky and choosy about that. You know, if you vibe with somebody in a game, then play with them again. And if you don't have to.
Yeah, gaming is just exercising that creative part of your brain.
Oh, yeah.
It's whatever exercises that creative part of your brain, whether it's your walking, your rowing, what else did you say? Bicycling,
Getting up early, she
getting
said.
up early. I don't understand. It's very
I
confusing.
struggled.
Right.
I
But
think I repeated them accurately. Echoing.
I think
I have
did you say-
echolalia.
You did say getting up early, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Wait, what is air quotes early?
So for early was 5:30 in the morning.
No!
There's two in a day? I thought there was only one 5:30 every day.
Yes, 5:30 a.m. is a fic in the mind of clockmakers. It doesn't actually exist.
No, my friends, I have seen 5:30 a.m. on my way to the gym in the mornings. It's interesting because you're like at the other side of the day.
This is the sun from the wrong direction.
This means that Cat Rambo is a multi-phased being in multiple directions. Maybe when she wakes up, it's 5:30 in Las Vegas, and she's wandering through the Venetian.
Here we go.
Check out.
Here we go.
I mean, I believe it. Anyway, we will put links to the fascinating things we discussed during this episode on our website, which is www.writersdrinkingcoffee.com. Kat, thank you so much for coming with us today. We are so desperately looking forward to your next book.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Rumor has it, I don't know about you, but everybody out there, I just went out and bought the trilogy because you can trust everything Kat writes. It's fabulous.
Oh, that's very nice of you. Thank you. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
You've been listening to Writers Drinking Coffee, a labor of love and enthusiasm put together by the hosts. Our main web magic is cast by Deirdre Schween, and our sound engineer and backup web spiders are David Welsh, John Schmidt, and Ksenia Chernievskia. Our intro and exit music is performed by Michael Engberg, who lives down under and runs Tin Can Music School. Our podcast sponsors are Jackal's Design, The Bean Scene, Arm Street, and wherever you like to get up at 5:30 in the morning and go work out, because clearly that is a magic place. And hey, thanks for listening.